It could happen anywhere.
In the line at the grocery store.
In a classroom.
Even in your own home.
Selfies are everywhere.
We're even guilty.
That's really embarrassing.
That's really embarrassing, actually.
Even my own mother is guilty. Sorry, Mom, I love you.
Love it or hate it, selfies have become a very real part of our social media heavy world. It actually made a debut in the dictionary in 2013, and there's over 246 million selfies hashtagged on Instagram right now, and over 1 million are taken every day. That's a lot. But we're not going to talk about selfies for 15 minutes. We're going to talk about something else.
In fact, we're going to talk about how all of us can be more than a selfie. How each and every one of us has a story to tell that is so much bigger than what a front cam can capture.
And disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with taking a selfie. We do it, tons of people do it, but we just wanted to let you know that there's much more to that.
Yeah, we want to look at those selfie takers and say, hey, we see you, but we want to see more of you. We believe you have a story so much bigger, and we want you to tell it to the world. In 2012, we started a lifestyle blog called Sugar and Spice. It was designed to be a place where we could bring our differences and our strengths together to try to make a bigger impact. We knew there were a ton of young women out there who needed guidance and help through a trialing time in this generation's life.
And because of the nature around the content around the nature of our blog stands dangerously close to a growing subculture that fosters homogenized thought. Social media has a bad rep of encouraging kids to be self-serving or self-obsessed. We've traded our letters for likes, and our friends have become our followers, and we reimagine our lives as we desire people to see them. We were not down for this. We wanted to draw the line between self-obsession and self-expression, because when you're focused on yourself and what people like about you or don't like about you, if you're good enough or not good enough, you're not reaching your max potential. And you're actually holding yourself back from all you can be.
So this new social media platforms that were coming up everywhere, that were taking over young people's lives, had mothers everywhere running for the hills and grandparents starting sentences with, back in my day. But the truth is, social media is not going anywhere. It's a huge part of this world now. And we have to decide, like any other superpower, are we going to use this power for good or for bad?
And the growth of instant communication is no different. Are we going to grow with it, or are we going to let ourselves get buried beneath it?
So we have to ask ourselves, how are we going to use social media? Are we going to use it in a positive way that is bigger than the self?
How are we going to use social media to benefit others on and off the internet?
How can we all be more than a selfie?
Step 1. Recognize your value. Every human is unique, from our passions to our desires to our fingerprints. We know this. We're told this all the time. But for some reason, we still filter ourselves and we beat ourselves up over how we should act, how we should be, what we should do, instead of embracing who we are and our uniqueness. So we need to understand that we have weaknesses, and we don't need to hide them. We need to understand that there's no reason to filter out different parts of ourselves in order to be our best self. For us, we started off as just two girls who loved fashion and photography and music and creating art, and we found a friendship based on our common interests. With this support, we got through things like heartbreak and living on pennies and not getting into the college you want to get into, depression, everything that you go through in your teenage years to your early 20s. And this support really helped us find ourselves and recognize our value in each other and discovering the best parts of each other. And by growing through our weaknesses and figuring out our strengths, we learned how to accept ourselves. In order to create a change, you have to first accept yourself. In order to love the world, you have to love yourself first.
That brings us to step 2, seek voids. At this point, you've understood that you have value and that you can contribute to the world. And the next part of that is doing your research. I know that sounds really boring and like a lot of hard work, but I promise this isn't like that 7th grade assignment your health grade teacher that scarred you for life. This is fun. This is the research that you're doing, that you're deciding what you love and what you're passionate about. This can mean things like taking a new class, traveling to somewhere new, talking to someone that you normally wouldn't want to talk to. It's stepping outside of the box. It's putting yourself in the world so you can better understand what it is that the world needs. There's never a shortage of help that is needed in the world. Just a matter of going out and finding where that help is needed and how you can contribute to it.
And so for us, we had to seek this void, and we saw this void in social media and the negativity and all these girls thinking they weren't good enough, and so we wanted to be a part of that.
Social media really can be a negative thing. There are many girls out there that look at magazines and they look at girls on social media that are photoshopping themselves. They're comparing themselves to things that are just unrealistic. They're trying to fit a mold that they cannot fit into. They're trying to find this form of perfection that is not attainable. And it's sad because they're hiding their true selves to try to cater to what social media says is the right thing.
So this brought us to step 3, set goals. With every good goal, we don't want to base it on anything of money or how much success you can have, but you want to base it on the who you're trying to impact and the why you're trying to impact them. So for us, we obviously wanted to be a part of this social media frenzy, but we wanted to be a good influence in it. We wanted to be a positive influence in it. We wanted to create a community or a place for girls to come to get the same support that we got in our friendship. We wanted this honest perspective from 2 normal girls just living life just as they are. So we set that as our goal, to create this community, and which brings us to step 4, to how we did it.
All right, great. You have a goal, but how are you going to accomplish it? That's what the strategy is about. Say somebody decides, I want to lose 10 pounds. Just by saying, I want to lose 10 pounds is not going to make them lose that weight. As much as we wish that's how easy the world worked. It's not. So we need to put a strategy to it. For example, this person that wanted to lose the weight could maybe get a gym membership or write out a diet plan. For us, our strategy was one of 2 things. We had to first figure out and remind ourselves what is our goal, and second, figure out and remind ourselves what is our value that we're trying to stay true to. Once we remembered our goal and our value, we were able to create a strategy that reflected both those things. It all happened on a late night in Dallas, Texas. We were sitting in my apartment and we're talking about the void we found, about how social media is kind of a negative place, but it's growing and it's where people are headed. So we wanted to meet those people there with positive news. We wanted to be there to help. So there are 4 factors we considered when thinking about how we could fill this void. The first one was, we lived 1,000 miles apart. I was living in Dallas, Texas, and she was living in Los Angeles. So that seemed like it could be kind of a hard thing to do. But factor 2 gave us some hope. Social media, like I said, was growing, and new platforms were coming up, like Instagram and Pinterest. And the third part was, blogs were really coming around. They were showing themselves, they were popping up left and right, and girls started going to blogs to try to find that inspiration. But there was still a lot of negativity being fed. So the fourth part, maybe one of the more important parts, was that blogs were free to start. And we were 2 college students. We didn't have a lot of money. So we started a blog. Right then and there, the idea of our strategy was born. We were going to use a blog to try to connect with these people because we were so far apart, we could use it and be online, and we wanted to reach a global community. And where a better place to do it than the World Wide Web?
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to step number 5, which is go. And essentially, this is just going to do it. And this is the scariest part. This takes guts. This was very hard for us because basically we started a blog, which is essentially putting your diary on the internet and inviting everybody to come read it.
It's actually exactly like that.
It's exactly that.
It's very scary.
It's very scary. And so like for us, we had like our thoughts and our personal like expression and our art, and that's scary to release to people. But we knew like we wanted to give this honest perspective to young girls, and the only way to do that was to share those things. And so we put it on the internet we one night just took a picture and released it all in one day, and we hope for the best, and yeah. And so now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to take these steps and go.
We're serious. After this talk, we're gonna come around and get all your contact information. We're gonna call you every day and make sure you're...
We're not gonna do this.
But we believe in you.
We believe in you. But maybe we will.
But maybe we will. So once you go, we go to the last step. It is monitoring and adjusting. This may be one of the most important steps. It's important to remember that this is a full cycle. As you see, you start and you end all up there. And monitoring and adjusting is the end and also the beginning. Because when you go out there and you put yourself on the internet or you go and try something new, the truth is it's not always going to go perfectly. Sometimes you're going to fail. Sometimes you're going to wake up late and miss a really important meeting. Sometimes you're going to eat 4 donuts when you only said you were going to eat 1.
That was really rude.
She didn't know I was going to say that. But the point is, we're going to make mistakes and we're going to fail sometimes, but that should not discourage us. That should be ammo. That should be what pushes us to reach our goal, because there may not be someone else out there trying. And if you're not going to try to reach your goal, there may be someone else out there that isn't going to find something that they need because you gave up, because you failed. So don't fail because someone else may need you. This is all about being bigger than yourself. So, an example of failure, we're going to admit something to you guys. When we first started Sugar and Spice, we were so excited. We were go, 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 go. And we realized about a month or 2 into it that we weren't doing what we had set out to do. We wanted to express all parts of ourselves, and we wanted to share so much and connect with all different types of young women that needed help, but we were only focusing on fashion. It was a quick way to express ourselves, and people were listening because it was a common conversation. But at the end of the day, it wasn't being true to our values. It made some noise, and it really helped us get our blog started, but we weren't satisfied. So what we had to do was monitor. We had to look back at what we had decided we originally set out to do and decide, is that what we're doing right now? The answer was no. We weren't fully doing what we wanted to do, so we had to adjust. We had to re-strategize. We had to change the way we were doing things to try to get to our goal, so we did. Instead of posting about fashion all the time, we started putting out poetry. I released a video of me singing and playing guitar for the first time, and I was horrified because I didn't know how people were going to react. But that's what this was about. We didn't want to hold back parts of ourselves because that's not how the world should work. Every part of us is important. The bad parts, the good parts, it all is needed to help the world grow. We can't filter out things. And so the second part of adjusting is realizing things are going to change. Sometimes you're going to realize the people you're trying to talk to, they don't really care about what you're talking about anymore in the way you're talking about it. Or sometimes the trends that you're trying to follow, they die out or they change. That doesn't mean that your goal has to. It means you have to adjust again. You have to adjust your strategy to reach your goal. Just because things change doesn't mean you give up. It means you learn how to change the way you're reaching people while still, very important, while still retaining your values and staying true to yourself and your goals.
Exactly. So basically, everything points back to recognizing your value. And this becoming more than a selfie isn't like beginning and an end type of process. It's a never-ending cycle. So every time you monitor and adjust, maybe you seek a new void or you make a new goal, and it always is a continuing cycle.
If we had to leave you guys with one message today before we leave, it would be that we want you all to listen to us and believe every one of you has divine purpose. Every one of you has a different set of qualities from the other, and that is the most beautiful thing in the world. It's seriously amazing, and you need to recognize that in yourself, and not only see it in yourself, but share it, because your ability to change the world is as big as you try to change the world.
And I think the only proper way to end this talk is to, of course, take a selfie with you guys, if you will let us. Because we want to We want it to be us together, promising that we're gonna be more than our selfie, that we're not gonna let our front cam determine our potential. We're not gonna let our story be filtered. We're going to draw the line between self-obsession and self-expression. So who's in? Who wants to take a picture?
Yeah? Okay. Ready?
Uno, dos, tres. Woo! Thank you, guys.
Thank you.